Today we honor 13 seasons, 193 games, 6-time All-Pro, 7-time Pro Bowler, Super Bowl champion, future Hall of Famer, Jason Kelce. We honor him and we say thank you to him today. Trending in the AM starts live in 30 seconds. And a very good morning, everybody, and welcome to Trending in the AM, right here on Philadelphia Sports Network, where your opinions actually matter. Make sure you do me that favor, whether you're watching on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, hit those like, share, retweet, follow, subscribe buttons, depending on which platform you are watching on. I am your host, Phil Stiefel, at Beard and Knowledge, all over social media. And we've got a great show for you guys today. Yes. What's more important, my intellectual look now? Yeah, exactly. Or my glasses. Yes, we are going to speak fondly of one Mr. Jason Kelce today, officially announcing his retirement from the National Football League and from our Philadelphia Eagles yesterday. And a very, very sad, but very, very, you know, fond memory type moment to look back on. It's a shame when a legend like Jason Kelce, who's played over 190 games at Midnight Green, a record 156 straight games for the Philadelphia Eagles, the lifeblood, the heart and soul of our organization, one of the greatest athletes, personality and personally, that has ever stepped foot in Philadelphia. A guy that clearly got what it was to be a Philadelphian, to play for this city. And we spent a lot of time last week talking about a certain someone on the Eagles and about how he badmouthed the fans and the booing and whatnot. Yesterday, listening to Jason Kelce's speech, it basically summed up what we expect from our players, what we feel for our players, and how we can have such an emotional attachment to our players. There's no doubt in my mind that Jason Kelce is one of, if not the greatest Eagle of all time. Good morning, little G. How you doing? I got something to say. Well, say it. Go for it. I can't agree that I'll put it up on the screen. I can't agree that I'll put it up there. But we will see what you have to say there about it. Hurts my heart when yeah. Anyway, so guys, Jason Kelce retires. It's over. It's done. And I've got a lot of emotions to feel about it. You know, I remember when we drafted Jason Kelce. I mean, like, why? I mean, we got Jamal Jackson still here. You know, thinking to myself, this guy does not look the part. He just, I don't know. Like, I don't think there was a single Philadelphia Eagles fan when we drafted Jason Kelce that thought 13 years later that this is where we were going to be. I don't think after his second year in Philadelphia, we thought this was where he was going to be. And he reminded us. I mean, there's so many great clips from his press conference. He reminded us so much about so many different scenarios and parts of his life. And he reminded us he was not the all pro center at first. It took work, hard work, determination, constantly being told that he's not good enough, that he can't do it. It took bringing in Jeff Stoutland, who was a secondary father figure in his life, to really get him to the point in his career where starting in 2016-17 that he became the all-pro great that he is now. Did they think Danny Watkins would be better? That's who the Eagles took in the first that year. Was that the same year? Don't ever mention Danny Watkins and Jason Kelce's name in the same sentence. Don't do it. Don't do it. Look, there's no doubt about it. I mean, he was a converted linebacker, a walk-on, couldn't get a Division I scholarship at the University of Cincinnati. The guy is the epitome of what Philadelphia is. The guy, Jason Kelce, proved that with hard work and determination, you could prove all your doubters wrong in life. There's no better person to motivate somebody when they're down. And when you're doubting yourself, just listen to Jason Kelce's retirement speech yesterday. And you'll know that it's not over, that you can still come back and do what you want. I mean, to me, listening to his speech makes me want to be a better person in every facet of my life, here on this show, at my pizza shop, in life in general. I'm overrated. That's what he said. But hard work can overcome that doubt. That's Philadelphia right there. Like, not only is Jason Kelce one of the greatest Eagles of all time, Mount Rushmore candidate of Eagles of all time, a surefire Hall of Famer in the NFL, the Eagles ring of whatever, no one will ever wear 62 again. They'll probably put a statue out there, but he might be the Mount Rushmore of Philadelphia athletes, period. Not just because of his performance on the field, but because of the way he did it. He represented his name, his team, and his city so well everywhere he goes, everywhere he's went. If you want to look up what is a Philadelphian? Jason Kelce, who was not born here, was a Cleveland, Ohio guy. Jason Kelce is exactly what you would picture and imagine a Philadelphia person being like, and I couldn't be prouder of the guy. Jason Kelce is the best example of what Philly is and can be. Absolutely, Duck. And you know what? And we'll get into more details as the week goes on of what they should do with the position and whatnot. But not only are they losing the Eagles, the best center, one of the best centers in football, one of the best centers ever to lace them up, but they're losing their heart and soul. And that is going to be harder to overcome for this Philadelphia Eagles team than any play. Like, you are losing the lifeblood of the team to retirement. Somebody's going to have to step up. And everyone's saying who's going to step up in the leadership role. Not many teams in the NFL, period. No matter what, no matter where and what city you're in, will have somebody like a Jason Kelce. It doesn't happen very often. Not just leadership-wise, just emotionally speaking in general. Those type of players don't grow on trees. They don't. He's going to be there for this team this season. Tim, yeah, I could see that. I could see him definitely. You see it a lot in baseball. The legends going down to spring training as a special instructor. I could see him hanging around from time to time around training camp. The guy's been in football his entire life. What did he say? 12 years old, the first time he put his pads on, and he's hanging them up now. So he's been around football for a long time. So it's gonna be very hard for him to just completely walk away. So I definitely see him being there during camp. I do. I definitely could see him there helping Cam Jurgens or whoever they draft to play center, helping with that transition for sure. I do not think Jason Kelce gets into coaching like some do. I think he will get into broadcasting and podcasting more. I saw something interesting that maybe they pull a sort of semi Pat McAfee type thing with the High Hopes podcast or whatever it's called, New Hopes podcast, eventually and syndicate it on a TV show. I mean, it would be it would be right there with Pat McAfee for entertainment for an hour or two every day or once a week even. But he will be around the team, I'm sure, this year. I mean, still so many people on this team, past and present. And it just goes to show not just what Jason Kelce meant to us, but to his teammates, past and present, former coaches, players, people that haven't been in the city for a while, all commenting about how much Jason Kelce meant to them. His emotional and this I'm trying to learn to these are new glasses. I'm trying to read through these here, and it's very tough. Pixel bed history. His emotional vulnerability humanized his legendary work ethic. Kelsey is the player all Eagles fans can relate to. We wake up, we work hard for our families, and we support our team. Hashtag legend. I think I could just end the show right now with this statement because this statement does sum up so much of what Jason Kelsey is. Hard work pays off. You don't have to. I'm not the most talented content creator, but if I work hard, maybe I can be one of the best. Hard work. Hard work. It pays off. Support your family. Be kind to others. I mean, in this day and age where there is so much turmoil in our world, in this day and age when every other day you turn on the TV and something bad's happening somewhere in our country or in the world, someone like Jason Kelsey, oh, let Jason Kelsey run for president. He got my vote. He'd whoop this country into shape real quick. He's the epitome of what not just Philadelphia, what Americans want to be. He literally not just had the work, he lived the American dream by rising above all the doubters, rising above everyone that told him no. Hell, he said that in his speech. How many people told him no throughout his life? And don't ever tell him no because it's just going to make him want to do it more. Like the stubborn kid, you say, no more candy. Well, he's going to get that candy if he wants it or not. Good morning, Mitchy Poo. We're thanking Jason Kelsey today. And 10 likes is not 10 likes means you do not like Jason Kelsey. So get those likes on this show. You know, Jason Kelsey would be very disappointed in the work ethic of people clicking like on this show. I'm really struggling with these new glasses. Just got them for far away. Up close, they don't really help. But this distance here, I'm still struggling. Still struggling to see this. He is the American dream. Yeah, Dusty Rhodes. Yeah. But he is the American dream. Not the American nightmare, the American dream. Jason Kelsey. And it's something we can all be proud of. It's something that we can look up to. It's something that, hell, if he wanted to, he could give motivational speeches for the rest of his life. Per fees, show up to places and speak. I listen to Jason Kelsey speak, and I feel like I'm ready to take over the world. Jason Kelsey is highly respected across all of sports, not just as an athlete, but also as a man. Yeah, you're not wrong there, mister. There's nowhere that you can go in a sports circle that Jason Kelsey won't be recognized and respected. And yeah, some of it's because of his antics, his Super Bowl speech, which one of the greatest speeches of all time. Maybe it's his vulgar way of talking sometimes, but he doesn't do it excessively in a sense where he's just being vulgar to be vulgar. He's just showing who he is. But everybody knows who Jason Kelsey is. Everybody respects Jason Kelsey. Hard worker, a perfect family man. You see him with his kids. I mean, it's just. I always say, if you're too perfect, there's some skeletons in your closet. But no, not with Jason Kelsey. It really looked like it emotionally broke him up that he did not want to retire. But at some point in time, the body just says you got to do what you got to do. Imagine if someone told him he couldn't make 400. Yeah, that's where we were yesterday. No show yesterday. 400. My one client that orders once a month, they've gone from like 200 pizzas to 350 to 400. Yesterday up to 480. Every month when they order, it seems to get bigger and bigger. Oh, my body is still sore. My body feels right now how Jason Kelsey's body feels after playing 13 seasons in the NFL. But you know what? Don't tell me I can't do it because I got it done because I had Jason Kelce looking over my shoulder. I mean, in my opinion, Jason Kelce is already on the Mount Rushmore of Philadelphia Eagles of all time. It's Jason Kelce, it's Brian Dawkins, and then put any other two names. Some would say Reggie White, some wouldn't. Some would say Donovan, most wouldn't. Some would say Nick Foles. But Jason Kelce and Brian Dawkins are Eagles Mount Rushmore. But in my opinion, if I had to build the Mount Rushmore of Philadelphia sports and put one person from all four major teams on it, it would be Mike Schmidt for the Philadelphia Phillies. It would be Dr. J for the Sixers, just inching out Allen Iverson. It would probably be Bernie Perrant for the Flyers, just inching out Eric Lindros. It would be Jason Kelce on that Mount Rushmore up for the Eagles to represent our city. There might have been better football players that have come through South Philly. But none of the people that came through South Philly fully embodied what it means to love this city. He's not going back to Cleveland now that his playing days are over. He'll be staying here. He's gonna raise his family here. He is going to stay ingrained in this city. Probably forever. Love that you like Lindros. Well, I remember where I was the day we traded for Eric Lindros. I was in the back of a van delivering newspapers with my dad early in the morning. The news broke. And me and my dad were listening to WIP 610 back when they actually mattered. And we traded Peter Forsberg for the rights to Eric Lindros. I remember that. It's Bernie Perrant, though. I mean, one of the greatest goalies of all time. And actually was more, how do I say this? He represented the city a little bit better than Eric Lindros. Maybe. Eric Lindros definitely could have rubbed some people the wrong way. So could have Mike Schmidt, but Mike Schmidt won us the World Series. So I put Mike Schmidt there on that Mount Rushmore for the Phillies. But Jason Kelce, to me, and maybe this is a little of the emotion, a little of the instant, because today's the day after he retires. But right now, I'm thinking that Jason Kelce, if you can only pick one person to represent this Eagles organization on a Mount Rushmore, it's got to be Jason Kelce. For the full body of work, not just the 6 All-Pros, the 7 Pro Bowls, the Super Bowl champion. Time for you to frame that Kelce jersey? Absolutely. Nobody will ever wear number 62 in this city ever again. Nobody. Nobody will ever wear that jersey again. Bobby Clark ruined. I could have put Bobby Clark on the Flyers Mount Rushmore. It'd be Perrant 1, Lindros 2, Clark 3, even though we won a cup with Bobby Clark, but his work as an executive in Philly still rubs me the wrong way. That little time frame in Flyers history really bothered me. One of my biggest regrets was not going to the Super Bowl parade and witnessing Kelce's speech live. I agree. I'm right there with you, Pixel. I did not go either. I was doing some extra earnings with Uber at the time, and I made a lot of money Ubering people to and from train stations to get to the parade for 2 days before. People were going out the day before and coming home the day after. It was like a 3-day event. I made a lot of extra money around the pizza shop with that. I actually regret not going to the Phillies parade more than the Eagles parade. I just don't do big crowds. So yeah, but, it's funny. Jason Kelce's speech, and you bringing up parades, will live on in infamy forever. The greatest speech of all time. But no one ever talks about Chase Utley's speech at the Phillies parade either. And dropping the big F-bomb like he did. It wasn't really a speech. It was just a one-liner. Jason Kelce embodied what it is to be a Philadelphian, a Philadelphia Eagle, and a great person. He really does. He really did. And it's gonna be different. Week 1, Brazil. Bet you the NFL's not happy that Kelce has decided to retire one of the most colorful players in the league. Not gonna be there for this big Brazil game. He'll be there probably. Wouldn't be shocked if he did that. Yeah, this is we're gonna get back to Kelce in a second. The day you have 400 pizzas, all Phillies. Yeah, exactly. There's so much we could talk about today. We could talk about, Zach Wheeler deal. We could talk about Russell Wilson, Brandon Graham, Fletcher Cox. I got a Taylor Swift thing that's really annoying the hell out of me. But we could talk about all that. But we're here, we're representing Philly. But the news breaks literally when I was about 250 pizzas deep. I couldn't even watch the press conference live. I had to watch it last night on replay. Can you see the Eagles' future of those glasses? I can see into the future. I can see far away. I just can't see close with these glasses. That's the problem here that I'm having with these glasses because they're for far away and intermediate distance. Up close, they make things worse. So it helps me see the comments on the screen, but when I look down at my notebook, I can't see. They make a massive difference driving, FYI. Massive difference in driving, which is great. But I can see your comments, but I can't see my notebook. I've told you to share your thoughts. If they're awful, I'm going to not post them on the screen. If they're kind and great, then we can talk about it. You know what's really annoying to me is that I've seen multiple people post on social media negative things about Jason Kelce. Who cares? Overrated. Stop crying about it. People that saying those things, like I saw some guy, I don't even know who he is. He's like an associate producer at one of the radio stations. Share one of the conversations he had with someone trying to get on the air to badmouth Kelce, and he refused to do it. Like, I don't understand. Like, especially Eagles fans. How they cannot how they cannot appreciate and respect what he did, what he does, everything. What is up, Eric? Good morning. How you doing? Oh, I'm very sorry to hear that. Thoughts, positive vibes to you and your family, Eric. Very sorry to hear that, my man. I had the Kelce presser while a Zoom call for work. Had to hold back emotions. I like Jason. I wish it was his brother retiring. Whatever. I mean, people trying to make it about his brother. And this is actually a great way for me to segue. People trying to make it about Taylor Swift. Because I read 4 different articles across different channels and different sites all about it. Trying to get other people's thoughts and feelings to help me, control and put my feelings into proper words. And every single site, when they mentioned his mom, his father, his wife, his brother, and no, Taylor Swift wasn't there. Every single damn article had a link Taylor Swift with Travis Kelce. We're talking about the greatest center the Eagles have ever seen, that the NFL may have ever seen, a first ballot Hall of Famer, 6-time All-Pro. And every single Philadelphia article and probably national article had to throw Taylor Swift's name in it. And I know, just putting Taylor Swift's name on it equals more clicks. I get it. Doesn't mean I like it. We are all very sorry, Eric. We hope you, yes, thoughts, condolences, for sure. But we use this show to kind of detach from our real world problems. We use sports to get us through our troubles in life. How many athletes out there, how many sports moments, period, can make grown men cry? I mean, Jason Kelce, I understand why he cried. He's an emotional person, wears his emotions on his sleeve like I do. But watching his speech made grown men cry. That's the type of emotion and connection that we have with Jason Kelce. The type of emotion we have with him. Why he means so much to us. Pixel history. This is Peanut rebranded. No longer broadcasting system. Pixelated instead. History. Good morning. Good morning. Mr. Peanut. Did not know that's who it was. Thank you. We love you, my man. We love you. When Jason started crying, I just put my hands on my face and knew the end of an era. As soon as I saw that his parents were there, that Travis was there, I knew it was over. I knew at that moment when I forget, I don't remember who I saw. Maybe it was Chris Franklin saying that there was a lot of reserved seats in the front before anybody had come out. I'm like, yeah, it's over. There's no reason why all these family members are there unless it's the end. I love Jason Kelce very emotionally. I mean, you're not alone, Teresa. There will never, ever be another athlete in Philadelphia that connects to us like Jason Kelce. I mean, maybe. I shouldn't say never because Bryce Harper is there. Bryce Harper is a younger version of Kelce in the emotional connection we have with a player. And someday, Bryce Harper might be on that Philadelphia sports Mount Rushmore right there next to Jason Kelce. He hits home to a lot of us. A lot of people are afraid to speak their emotions and how they feel about things in life. And he's so honest and upfront. And we all wish, we wore our emotions on our sleeve as much as he did. We know the Chiefs not going to three-peat. Yeah. I was waiting for my wrestling fans. If you know, you know. I was waiting for Jason Kelce because this is definitely in his mind to come out in a peach sports coat. And if you know what that means, you know what that means. Because then if he came out in a peach sports coat and says, what, you think it would be this easy? If you know, you know. Shout out to Monday Night Raw, even in their promotion for WrestleMania last night. I watched a few minutes of Raw. They congratulated not only Sting, who retired this weekend, but they shouted out Jason Kelce for retiring. Kelce even cries like a masculine man. Yeah, he even makes crying look good. That is for sure. 14-year-old me was worried for AI when he was facing 20 years of jail time. Sports and life blurred the lines. Dr. Phil looks like an intellectual. I don't know if I look intellectual with these glasses or not. I'm really trying to struggle from going distance to close up here. Kelce knows one of my best friends, friends' mothers, cousins, nephews, neighbors, brother-in-law's cousin. He met him in Seattle. Second time my pal walked into the bar, Kelce screamed across the bar to him, hung all night. Friend said he's a great guy. Yeah, I can believe that story. 1,000%. Is there any athlete, period, past or present, that you would want to spend if you could share one beer with one person at a bar, sports related? It's got to be Kelce, doesn't it? I knew when it was announced it was over, but I needed that confirmation. And Jason gave another hell of a speech. Yeah, he struggled to get through that speech. I don't understand why it was so emotional. Kelce had an amazing career. He should walk away with his head held high. It's it's because he was emotional. It's because that's how type of person he is. It's not tears of sadness. It's not emotion of sadness. You could cry tears of joy. You gotta understand this guy's done nothing but football his entire life. And he's done. He is not going to put the pads on again. He said Nick had the yeah, he did say that. Oh, he did. There are people crushing him. There are a few people out there because they don't like his cursing and his style of talking. When was the last time a lineman was the face of a franchise? Yeah. I mean, we've had a lot of great linemen in this city. A lot over the years. But none of them to the level of Jason Kelce. See some more of these comments here. When you do what you love with so many like-minded people every day at the highest level, it's difficult to say goodbye. That's a fair way to say it, Eric. Absolutely. When you do something for a long time, it becomes part of your life. I mean, he's going to be around football, whether he's into broadcasting or podcasting or is coaching or something like that. He is going to be around football. His body, he wants to play. See, here's the thing: he wants to play more football, but his body's just telling him no. Kelce was carried out the bar by Bo Allen on his first date with his wife. Yeah, Jason's the man. I love that story of him when he talked about how he met his wife and he just knew. Um, but I love the story of when he asked his wife's parents for permission to marry, his now wife, where he said he had to go inside to use a bathroom into his future in-laws house. And he was in there for a really long time. And his wife's sitting in the car thinking, there's no way that Jason's blowing up my parents' bathroom right now. It's one of the greatest things in the world right there. That is definitely, and he definitely gave his wife plenty of love yesterday. The man, there's behind every great man, there's a great, strong, powerful woman. Tears of change. It's a good way of phrasing it, Big Al. Tears of change. We all face it at different times. Yeah, his wife is so Philly. She won't wear another team's shirt. Love the two of them. Biggest power couple in Philly. For sure. No doubt about it. Kelce speaks like real people. Every once in a while, we drop an F bomb during a conference call. I drop F bombs at the pizza shop all the time. When I actually didn't make 480 pizzas yesterday. I made 481 because I dropped one on the floor. When you're pulling 480 pizzas out of the oven, sometimes a mistake happens. When I drop that one pizza on the floor, I'm like, I just dropped a big F bomb really loud. My wife's like, do I need one more pizza? I'm like, yep, need another one. It happens. It's emotion. There's some people that say it too much and use it too in the wrong ways. Well, let me tell you something. He speaks like a real person. He speaks like a Philadelphian. He speaks like you and me. Imagine Jason Kelce and to an extent Fletcher were the face of the Eagles for a long time. 2024, I mean, that's the other rumor. Fletcher Cox is about to call it quits. Brandon Graham should be back. We'll dive into more of that in the coming days, I'm sure. And what Kelce's retirement means for this team. But it's more just that if Fletcher Cox also retires, two guys that have been in the city through Andy Reid, Chip Kelly, Doug Peterson, and Nick Sirianni's regime. Hang it up. It's going to be different in Brazil in September. Jason Kelce will absolutely be at WrestleMania. Now, will he be a part of WrestleMania? Should have been your question, Mitch. And I'm going to ask Mitch, since Mitch is in the comments. Say something about Jason Kelce in 3 words or less. Tell me what Jason Kelce means to you, Mitch, in 3 words or less. But yes, he'll be there. Now, will he get physically involved? Lane Johnson, if he would retire, would get physically involved. Lane Johnson has talked about wanting to be a wrestler, even just temporarily. I doubt Kelce gets involved. I could see Kelce coming out on stage at the beginning of night one, shotgun and a beer to fire up the crowd. You know what? If I'm Triple H, I'm calling Kelce and I'm calling Stone Cold, and I'm having the two of them do a beer shotgun competition. In the middle of the ring, you got Kelce And Stone Cold tries to stun Kelce, and he's like, ain't happening. If Fletch retires this or next week, Eagles will have to figure out a new identity in that locker room. There is going to be an identity crisis on this team without Fletcher Cox. Definitely without Jason Kelce. I work in the medical practice. Well, I've been working in restaurants since I was 14, Big Al. 29 years of restaurant experience. Let me tell you something. I've heard worse than F bombs, honestly. F bombs are the least of the bad things I've heard ever. Low key, I knew Kelce was gone after listening to Mailata. That man handle you. Don't tell your secrets to Jordan Mailata. He can't deal with them. He can't keep secrets. Jason Kelce is the most humble first ballot Hall of Famer I've ever seen. Most of them are arrogant. I mean, you thought yesterday's speech was something special. When he gets into that Hall of Fame, man, it's gonna be epic. So many Philadelphia Eagles fans are gonna be making the trip out to Canton, Ohio for that speech. They're all. I mean, there's gonna be tailgates all over the place for Jason Kelce's speech. What's he gonna wear? I love that he came out yesterday, not in a suit, not in a polo, in a cut-off sleeveless shirt, like he just finished working out in the gym. And he's like, all right, let's roll. Let's do this. What's Jason Kelce going to wear at his Hall of Fame speech? Living legend. Are you talking about Jason Kelce or Larry Zabisco? Man. Working electrical design and construction, the F word is abundant. There's a lot of fields we could say that the F word's abundantly used. Doesn't mean anything bad. It's an emotional word. It's an emotional response. Helps describe the emotions you're feeling. Kelce, Reggie White, and Dawkins. See, I had trouble holding Reggie White to the same level as certain other Eagles because he left so early in his career and found even more success elsewhere. For some reason, Brian Dawkins left. He didn't find as much success. It was only a couple years he was in Denver. The hell is Denver doing? We'll get into that tomorrow more so. Some reason I always hold Reggie White. I respect Reggie White, and I say Reggie White's one of the greatest football players of all time. But something about Reggie White and him leaving for Green Bay and being a young kid, being in middle school and having my favorite player leave. God told me to. It bothers me still. Still to this day, 30 plus years later, it bothers me. Is there not an identity crisis? There is an identity crisis right now on this team. Yeah, there is. Even with Kelce, without Kelce. And one of the glues that tries to hold this team together when the going gets tough is gone. Yeah. I cussed out at IT departments all last week. BS is used more often in IT. Gotcha. For some reason, I can see that actually. If Cox retires, that tells me a lot about the rumblings. I don't know. I think if Cox left and went and played elsewhere, that would tell me more about it. Right now, Jason Kelce retiring, it's the body, man. It has nothing to do with the locker room. It has nothing to do with any of the drama on this team. And same thing with Cox. It has to do with the body. I will say one thing. And shout out to Jason Kelce even more. We'll get back to the comments in a second. He took a little subtle dig at Darius Slay yesterday, I think. I know some people picked up on it. But he said, and I quote, I wrote this quote down not to forget it. This city will love you. Hold on, I can't read it. This city will love you the way you love it, like a brother. To me, that was a little dig. at one of those locker room problems in Darius Slay because he says how much he hates this city because of the billing and whatnot. I kind of feel like that was a little jab, little departing gift for Big Play Slay. No one will ever fill his shoes. He has a generational talent. It's going to be an interesting offseason. I feel forever. Yeah, dude. Whoever starts at center next year, whether it's Cam Jurgens or somebody we draft or a free agent signing, every center that plays for the Philadelphia Eagles for the next 20 plus years is going to be compared to Jason Kelce. Well, Kelce would if the first time we run a tush push and it doesn't succeed, well, if Jason Kelce was there, it would have worked. It's going to be tough for whoever steps in and replaces Jason Kelce. I know different positions, but is Urlacher's career more prolific than Kelsey's? He was a first ballot. Well, Kelsey's going to be a first ballot. If he isn't, then there's some agenda that keeps him there, keeps him out. So I don't know. Brian Urlacher, I remember being a great linebacker. So here's the thing, first and foremost. I see a lot of people getting in that Kelsey shouldn't be in the Hall of Fame or Fletcher Cox shouldn't be in the Hall. There's so many trolls coming out of the woodwork. So many people that are probably Cowboys fans pretending to be Eagles fans, bad mouthing these guys. But I think the Hall of Fame in all sports is too diluted. But even in that sense, even if the standards were up to the level that I would put them at, Kelsey would still be a first ballot Hall of Famer. Now, I don't know Urlacher's connection to the city of Chicago as well. I don't know what he meant to the people of Chicago. But I know what Jason Kelce meant to the city of Philadelphia. And there's a reason why grown men are in tears last night and today over Jason Kelce calling it a career. Zero chance Kelce will not be WWE. Yeah, he is going to not join the bloodline. He is going to be the answer that takes the bloodline down. One of the last hungry dogs in the building. He's eating his last meal. He's done. I really, to an extent, I really thought that that Kelce would be able to that wouldn't want to go out the way 2023 ended. But at some point, your body just says no more. And I saw a picture of him last season greeting his kids after a game, and there was just ice all over his knees and ankles wrapped up, and you know, playing center in the NFL, it's a tough business. It's a tough game. Kelce left in his prime to go to Green Bay, free agency. Larry Sabisco. I remember watching WCW Nitro at my grandma's house. This is way, way back when she lived in Upper Darby. We're talking before the NWO. Or maybe it was at the beginning of the end. No, she moved out of that place before the NWO. And she saw Larry Zabisco on the TV screen. She's like, oh, I know him. I'm like, how do you know Larry Zabisco? And I guess one of her cousins dated Larry Zabisco a long time ago and almost married Larry Zabisco. So a little side story from my grandma. That always made me. I'm like, oh, Larry Zabisco could have been in the Stiefel family tree. My bloodline could have been connected to Larry Zabisco somehow. That's right, the real living legend. He was still in the middle prime of his career. It's kind of like when Kurt Angle left WWE for TNA. He ended up having a really long, successful career. Still, how do you, the Lord, did not tell Reggie White to leave? Yeah, stop. The body and the wife, I believe. Big Al, I do think the wife definitely played a part on it. I don't think she wanted him to play this year because she wants him to be able to lift his kids. She wants him to be able to walk his daughters down the aisle. She wants him to, not miss out on these kids growing up. It's not about money in there. It's about lifestyle. I definitely think his wife said, "Yo, it's time." My opinion. His wife is one of the most brutally honest women there is, in a good way. I don't think she forced him. I don't think she would ever force him to do anything. But I'm pretty sure a combination of the body and his wife saying maybe it's time helped put him over the top. What's up, Matt? Mac, how you doing this morning? We don't need someone to fill his shoes. We need someone to be their own person. That's true. Whoever takes over cannot cannot try to be Jason Kelce. They have to be them. Cam Jurgens has to be Cam Jurgens or whoever fills in. I love what Kelsey said about the fans. That is the description to the T. Slay and Brown need to understand that. Kelsey's more old school, more an old soul. Slay and Brown are more the new school type attitude of people. Jason Kelsey started his football career growing up in Ohio, and it's going to end in Canton, Ohio, with his brother. Yeah, and I love Travis being there and Travis showing his emotion as well. But God, one more time, why does every damn newspaper article got to mention Taylor Swift in Jason Kelsey's retirement article? Every single article. And you know what? I get it. I get the clickbait and the algorithm to mention her name. But man, let Kelce have his day. Kelce might have been thinking in week 8 or 9 that this past season and said, I can't do this any longer. The heart and the mind still wants to, but the body can no longer sustain the demand. And there's another reason why the tears were flowing yesterday. Because he still wants to play football. It's all he knows. It's all he's done. And he wants to play football. But sometimes the body says no more. Body said no more. Go get glasses. I went and got glasses. I wouldn't mind him taking over Merrill's position and be the new voice of the Eagles when Merrill retires. See, no, Matt. Um, he would take over for Mike Quick as the color guy, but Jason Kelsey's not a play-by-play, type person. What Merrill Reese does play-by-play is not a place where you could show your personality. Now, Mike Quick, the color guy, that he could. I'm assuming that he'll be put in a broadcast booth for Fox or Amazon or NBC probably. That would be my guess, or ESPN. It'd be my best guess. If I was WIP or the Fanatic, I'd be reaching out. I know Audacity's under bankruptcy, but I'm sure they could find some money. I'd be adding him to the radio if he wanted it. I'd be at least making that phone call and offering whatever it takes. I don't think Kelce wants a 5-day-a-week job anymore, though. I always thought when Reggie left, he was as old as B-Doc in the final stage of his career. Let me look this up real quick. I forget. Maybe I'm just misremembering my childhood a little bit here. Let me pull up his Pro Football Reference page. He left Philly at the age of 32. He played 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 years in Philly, then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 years in Green Bay, and then 1 year in Carolina. So Kelce played or Reggie White did play, a long. It was basically Hassan Reddick's age when he left. Touch older. I think Reggie left because of the beginning of free agency. Yes, it was when free agency was just getting started in football. And was Norman Braman still the owner of the Eagles when Reggie left? Norman Braman was a scumbag of an owner. So, um, are the Kelce's the most successful brothers in sports as individuals and as a unit? Oh man, I don't know. I have to think about that, Marshawn. Best brothers in sports. Well, the Giannis brothers can't be that. Yeah, maybe the Antetokounmpos, just because their brother Giannis is so good. It's not the Lonzo Ball family. Mark and Paul Gasol, not to their level. at all. Brooke and Robin Lopez, not to that level at all. Trying to dig deep here for some brother combos here in sports. Chat, drink your water. Simplest thing we can do is help our body and health. Absolutely. Kelce made it. The fact that WWE even did a coverage of his retirement. Absolutely. I was very happy. I mean, I was shocked a couple times last night. Michael Cole saying, congratulations to Sting and Pat McAfee putting over his match, retirement match, whatever it was called, the tag match and all. I don't know. Whatever. Um, but then them giving a moment to Jason Kelce there on Raw. It says it all. Jason Kelce transcends sports to an extent. That's how much he means to so many people. I guarantee WWE reached out, if they hadn't already, reached out to him already to make an appearance at WrestleMania. To answer Mitch's question, will he appear? I'm sure he'll be there. But I'm sure they've already reached out for him to be at official appearance capacity. Don't they always have like the host of WrestleMania? I can see Jason Kelce being the host of WrestleMania this year. Rather siblings for inclusivity. Yeah, I'm trying to remember siblings. Yep, 7 years in Green Bay, then he retired for a year in '99, then came back in 2000 and played for Carolina. Spent almost as he spent 8 years out of Philly playing football and 8 years in Philly playing football. Just think about that. NFL wants to take attention away from the Chad Wheeler domestic violence case. I don't. And they must be doing a good job because I haven't even seen that one. No throwing Taylor Swift in the media into another CT. What I don't know what half that is going into. The McCourties, the Barbers, yeah, they were really great, but I don't think they're on Kelsey levels. Um, so football wise, McCourties and Barbers. I forgot about the Barbers. Yeah, it's a lot easier to name father son combos, the Griffeys, the Bonds, etc., than it is to name brothers in sports. It really is. Is there anybody like that in two different sports? I don't know. I don't know. It's definitely interesting. But yeah, I would put the Barbers. Well, one of the Barbers is already in the Hall of Fame. I don't know. We'll see. I got to think about that a little bit. You can't come to us with a pity party when we're watching the Chief walk right back to the Super Bowl and getting the job done. They had a tough schedule too and got everyone's best shot. Yeah, for sure. So with the talks of the team meeting with that 10th top center prospect, do you think he gets drafted and we move Jurgens over to center? Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what the plan will be. I don't. I gotta really think long and hard about it, and we'll dive more into the future tomorrow. Obviously, like I said, I wanted to talk about Fletcher Cox and Brandon Graham rumors, and there's the Russell Wilson. Zach Wheeler got a big contract extension. Um, what does it mean? Jurgens theoretically should be the center next year. Theoretically. But I wouldn't be surprised if they draft another center slash guard, type player, interior offensive lineman with one of those top 4 picks that they own in the top 100. I wouldn't be shocked with it. I'm not sure yet. Harlem Heat and the Steiner brothers. The Steiner brothers, world class athletes, and their offspring, Ron Breaker. Lot of good athletic genes in that family, and the Harlem Heat. I liked Harlem Heat, but Booker T, the five-time WCW champion, one of my favorite, most underrated wrestlers of all time. King Book. There's so many great things that Booker T has done throughout his career. The Bosa brothers are next in line. Some would say that one of them might be overrated. I've seen some people in this show say one of them. I forget which one is overrated. But yeah, they're uber talented for sure. The Watts, yeah, there's 3 Watts, right? That play in the NFL. 2 are great and one's not so great. The Manning brothers. You could say the Manning brothers. You've got a Hall of Fame, one of the 5 greatest quarterbacks of all time, and another one that's won 2 Super Bowls that might get into the Hall of Fame sometime, where they should or not. Debatable. Maybe the Manning bro How did I not think of the Manning brothers right off the top of my head? Like, that's the easiest answer to this conversation is the Manning brothers, and I forgot all about them. We can forget the most scariest and most dominant brother of all, Kane and The Undertaker. Dude, I don't even know how old I was when I finally realized they weren't. Yeah, I was like 18 during that part of the Attitude Era, and I thought they legit were brothers for a minute. Oh, man. Uh, we'll never have another legend in Philly quite like Jason Kelce. He's one of a kind, a man amongst men, what every guy strives to be, the exemplification of excellence in all facets of life. HC, thank you very much for your comment. Thank you very much for joining the Jason Kelce thank you show here. And we've had similar comments like this throughout the show. I mean, he is one of a kind. He's unique. No one, no one will be like that ever again. I I think Bryce Harper, if we win a World Series during Bryce Harper's regime here, Bryce Harper's right there because Bryce Harper is that emotional guy, just like Jason Kelce. Wears his emotions on his sleeve for sure. We appreciate emotion and passion in this city. So maybe Bryce Harper gets to the Jason Kelce level. But see, the thing is, Bryce Harper was a phenom to begin with. He works hard. I'm not trying to say Bryce Harper doesn't work hard, but Jason Kelce was a nobody. Guy that couldn't get a college scholarship to play football, a 6th-round draft pick, a guy that was told you're never going to be good enough. Bryce Harper's been told since he was 12 that he's going to be one of the greatest of all time. And he's very humble about it. And he's very emotionally invested in Philly. But there's something different about being Kelce and being somebody that just is constantly told no, you're not good enough, and becomes one of the best versus being told you're the best and actually being the best. Absolutely agree with the hearts being, yeah, absolutely. That's the difference. One top 5 quarterback of all time and one with 2 Super Bowls. Not that he's good or dominant, but yeah, he's got 2 Super Bowls, Eli. I would probably say the Mannings are the closest to the Kelces at this point. The Bosas and the Watts are pretty close. Two brothers from hell. Oh, man. The brothers of destruction, man. Man. I was 36 when I got legit confirmation, but you're 37 now. With you. They weren't brothers when I watched the documentary on Oh, so you're saying now you just figured it out? Yeah, exactly. Dude, till he took the mask off and I realized he looked nothing like his brother. I mean, you can't tell me you didn't think Edge and Christian were brothers for a little while. For sure. Yep, can't talk brothers without bringing up Brett and Owen. Absolutely. My man Jason, good morning. In most cases, one brother is great and the other one is awful. Greg and Mike Maddox. Yeah. Which one played for the Phillies? George and Ken Brett. The Ripkins, Cal and I don't even remember Cal Ripken's brother's name. He played in Major League Baseball briefly. But the Ripkins were like that. But I can't say that the Mannings are on that level. I would have to say that Eli's at least a little bit better than Mike Maddox or Ken Brett or what was Ripken's brother's name? I can't remember. I know that it'll come to me at some point here. When do you think they retire 62? Well, it's already unofficially retired. No one will ever wear it again. Um, they'll do some kind of ceremony this year. He doesn't have to sign a 1-day contract to retire at home because he's already retired at home. He never played anywhere else. Those 1-day contracts are more for the people that go off in free agency then come back. They'll do a big Jason Kelce day. It'll probably be on one of the days they wear Kelly Green next year. Probably. Wayne and Brent Gretzky. Who? Who's Brent Gretzky? I have no idea. The Gretzkys. Didn't even know he had a brother. Oh, Marshawn. Without a shadow of a doubt. I agree with this 100%. Billy Ripken. That was right. I wanted to say Bud. I was, for some reason, the word Bud. I knew it was a B, Freddie. I can always count on Defo to help me out. Always can. But Billy Ripken, was not very good. Edge and Christian are not brothers. No, they are not. The Dudley boys are not brothers. That one I never fell for. That one I knew right from the get go was not. And I didn't know where this conversation was going to go today, but somehow we're talking about the greatest brother duos of all time. I really do think the Mannings are probably out of all the brothers realistically mentioned are probably the closest to the Kelces for sure. Oh man. Oh boy. Speaking of the Dudley boys, Paul Heyman is going to go into the Hall of Fame here in Philly. Big surprise there. You had to know they were saving that for WrestleMania in Philly. Had to know. But when I think about Jason Kelce, I just think of, everyone wants to think about his speech at the Super Bowl. But I don't know. I like to think of him, the player. I like to think of, you know, the leadership. Just think about it. I mentioned it earlier in the show. He's played under Andy Reid, Chip Kelly, Doug Peterson. How many guys, and now Nick Sirianni, how many players can survive that many different regime changes and stay at such an elite level? It's crazy. Well, that's a real brothers. They're not the fake brothers like the other ones. I was disappointed that the Doobie brothers. They're not. I don't know. I do love me some Doobie Brothers, man. I do. They're part of my presets on Sirius XM in my car. Whenever one of their songs pops on, I gotta jam along to them. Got to. But I won't lie. I'm not as all right. I'll just say I'm not as old as you, Jason. They could walk right here in the room right now, and I wouldn't know what they look like. I love their music, but I couldn't tell you who they are. If I physically saw them, put them in a lineup, and I wouldn't know. So many thoughts and emotions rolling through my head with this Kelsey stuff. And I really, really think that I'm not overreacting when I say he's a Mount Rushmore, not Philadelphia Eagle, but Philadelphia sports, period. That he's on my Mount Rushmore. Right now, again, for those joining late into the show, my Philadelphia Mount Rushmore as of this moment is Jason Kelce. It's Mike Schmidt, it's Dr. J, and it's Bernie Perrant. Bryce Harper could supplant Schmidt if they win a World Series. Allen Iverson, I debate it with Dr. J. I debate it Bobby Clark and Eric Lindros over Perrant. But Kelce, if you notice all those names I mentioned on the Mount Rushmore, most of them are older. Kelsey's the only modern day athlete on that current Mount Rushmore of Philadelphia sports. And he's not the most athletic person that's ever played here. He's not the most talented person to ever be here. But he worked the hardest. He put the effort in and he connected with us the most. Kelce versus the Bushwhackers. The Bushwhackers, you mean? I was going to say the Basham brothers, maybe, but the Edgeheads. The Bushwhackers were actually cousins. Were they? I no clue. No clue. Most wrestling brothers are not real life brothers. We're talking the real brothers now. All right, real quick, guys. I missed the 1 o'clock reset or the 1 hour reset, guys. It's 9:05 in the morning here, trending in the AM, right here on Philadelphia Sports Network. Make sure you're hitting that like, share, subscribe, retweet button, whichever platform you are watching on. Make sure you do whatever you can to share this show out so everybody can find this show and get in to say a special thank you to Jason Kelce because we all owe the last 13 years of Philadelphia Eagles love, the passion and excitement we felt, the highs, the lows. We owe it to Jason Kelce. We do. This is a more emotional thing. When Nick Foles eventually retires, it'll hit home for us. He'll sign a 1-day contract to come back to Philly, but it won't mean the same as when Jason Kelce retired. Dude, the Steiner brothers were so good. They really were. They're one of the most underappreciated tag teams of all time. You have to take the bearded mantle, Phil. I always Jason Kelce, his beard wishes it could be as good. I'm actually thinking of shaving it off or at least trimming it down, but we'll see. We'll see. I really think we all, as a fan base, are truly overthinking this. Kelce is great. Nothing to be taken from him. We as fans trust him. With that, he did say he will leave when he knows the position, line, and team are set up for further success, and he can trust he didn't leave the team with a hole or a gap. That's a great, great line or comment from you, Matt. I think that's a great line. He wasn't going to ditch us. He's got confidence, hopefully, in Stoutland and Steen and Jurgens to fill in. He's ready for Jordan Mailata to take over as the emotional leader of the offensive line and the team. Because let me tell you something, Jordan Mailata. I know Lane Johnson will be the vet. He'll be the name. He'll be the most important guy. But Mailata to me will be the guy that's the heart and soul of the offensive line going forward. Kelce's up there alongside of Bednarik now. Yeah, I mean, most of us aren't old enough to have watched him, Chuck Bednarik, or remember him. Maybe if Mark was watching, Mark's old, so he probably was. But Kelce's the greatest Eagle in the modern era, and basically the modern era is like mid '90s, I guess. He has to be considered the greatest Eagle to put on Midnight Green and a few times Kelly Green. Has to be. He will have a statue built. It's probably already been commissioned. There will be a statue of Jason Kelce out in front of Lincoln Financial Field within a few years. Hopefully by the time he's in the Hall of Fame. First off, on the Hall of Fame, I hate that you got to wait 5 years. Jason Kelce's a Hall of Fame. Put him in today. He retired. Put him in the damn Hall of Fame today. No need to wait 5 years for people to vote on it. Just put him in. But when he goes in, there will be a statue. What do you want the Jason Kelce statue to look like? Him in his mummer's outfit or him in his Eagles outfit? Do you want it to have the blonde hair? Little part of his career when he went blonde? Shaggy? Clean cut? And there's another great comment right here from Eric. It's very deep, but very special. Thank you to Jason Kelce. I mean, that's what this is all about right here. It is. He did the blue and gold. Oh my God. He mentioned so many different moments in his career. He didn't mention the blue and the gold though. He mentioned the snow game against Detroit. He mentioned a lot. He didn't mention the blue and gold uniforms. I love the fact that he rolled out yesterday in his workout gear for his retirement speech. Like I love it. He literally comes out in a muscle shirt like he just got done working out at the gym. Needs to be in pre-snap stance, pointing out the mic. Yeah, I can just see that. Him with I can see that, HC. I can. I can see it. That would work. Absolutely agree with you on that one. If WIP was smart, they would pay big bucks to syndicate the Kelce Brothers podcast, but they are dumb and dying. Yeah, absolutely. Train the AM is way more. Well, that's obvious. And our opinions matter. Truthfully, y'all matter to me. Y'all mean the most to me. You mean the world to me. When I retire one day, I hope I get a whole show dedicated to my retirement someday. I hope. If I retired, nobody would miss me. They'd find another podcast to latch onto. Big, bushy Kelce statue with him screaming. Yeah, I mean, see, it's funny. Like, I've never taken a picture in front of the Philly Nick Foles statue before. but I couldn't wait to get a picture in front of the Harry Callis statue. The first time I got to go to Citizens Bank Park once that was unveiled. Like, I will make a point, even if I'm not going to the game, to go get my picture in front of the Jason Kelce statue. That's how much Jason Kelce means, because it's not just the Super Bowl. It's 13 years of representing us. Him, when he walks off the field, just holding up his helmet, keep it simple, yet pays true homage. I think that would be more him holding his helmet, because that's him acknowledging the fans. You might not acknowledge Roman Reigns as your tribal chief, but we all acknowledge Jason Kelce as the lifeblood and the heartbeat of this Philadelphia Eagles organization for the last 13 years. Without a doubt. I loved that Jason shouted out B&D combination that delivered us the Super Bowl, Nick and Doug Peterson. Yeah. I this guy, man, so many different eras in Eagles history he's been able to be a part of. I remember him thinking that Chip Kelly was reinventing the National Football League. He was one of the ones on board with the Chip Kelly style at first. I acknowledge Jason as my tribal chief. Yes, we all do. We all do. 3-point stance in the Mummers hat. I don't know. I think the Mummers thing, while great, was just a small part of the big thing. And I like Matt's comment up above. Just him holding his helmet up to the fans as a thank you. I think that's the way to go with the trophy. There's very few or statue. There's very few people that can get this kind of reaction out of us. We didn't act like this when Chase Utley retired or Brian Dawkins retired. Maybe because they left to play elsewhere. We didn't feel this way when Don McNabb retired. Very few people can get this kind of response out of a fan base where we are spending 90 minutes on a show. Not debating who's going to replace the guy. Not talking about X's and O's. Just talking about the man. Nothing productive has come out of this episode other than us having fun and remembering the man, the myth, the legend. And there are plenty of things we could have talked about today. Eric, you want to hand me the Kleenex at the podium for my retirement speech? I don't get me. I'm just doing a show, dropping the mic, and walking off. No speech from me. I'm not a speech guy, especially anything pre-prepared. I would need 90 minutes because I would just start rambling on. Then I would see comments in the comments section. I'd be like, oh, let's talk about that instead. Morning, Dave. How you doing? That was such a great speech, an emotional moment for me. It was such a vital part of the Eagles' success. It wasn't just the Eagles' success, wins and losses. It was the success of ingraining the Eagles as the lifeblood of the city. There was so much more to it than just the wins and losses. It was. I think what really makes Kelce so great, he was a blue-collar guy with a dad bod and a hard work ethic, big heart and emotional. Can make such a change and shows that we all have a chance. Matt's on fire with comments, man. You nail it again here. He's such a. This is what makes him so perfect for Philadelphia to represent our city. Because we are a blue collar city. We're a dad bod city. We work hard and we're emotional. We're passionate. Not just about football, but about life in general in this city. And Jason Kelce represented exactly who we are. Some of us come and go. We move to other cities, move out here and there. But once you're from Philly, you're always from Philly. Once you get indoctrinated into the Philly culture, it never leaves you. I'm going back to his quote. Again, it might have been a subtle dig at Darius Slay, but it's so true about this city. Even if it meant nothing about Darius Slay, it means so much to us as fans. This city will love you the way you love it, like a brother. That sums up so much right there. When he said, I'm overrated, hard work overcomes all that doubt, though. That's Philadelphia. Philadelphia through and through. There's no way to beat around the bush anymore. It's it. And we're gonna talk other things this week. Short week because I had to take one day off. We're gonna get into Phillies talk this week with Zach Wheeler, maybe Blake Snell, the Russell Wilson insanity in Denver. Brandon Graham probably going to be back. Fletcher Cox probably not going to be back. This Eagles team is going to be different in 2024. Philly is a white-collar town with a blue-collar lunch pail mentality because the Eagles is the legacy of our blue-collar uncles, fathers, mothers, and aunts. Hand it down to us. It's a great way to put it. Those grandparents that were in the 700 level, the link, or the stadiums before the vet, it was passed down generation to generation. Give the man the key to the city. Dude, just let him own the city. Jason Kelce for mayor of Philadelphia, governor of Pennsylvania, president of the United States. Can you imagine Jason Kelce's presidential inauguration speech? It would be legendary. Court 12 will deliver yeah. The retirement show will be the day I finally get a real $500 super chat. That was my first stadium as well. I don't remember what year my first Eagles game was live at the vet, but I do remember 86 was my first Phillies game. We didn't really go to many Eagles games. Wasn't really in our family's budget to do Eagles games back then. Actually, honestly, 99 might have been my first live Eagles game, not counting preseason games. Might have been. He would have to beat out Liam Castellanos. Oh, man. Liam. One of the most famous Philly sports kids out there. For sure. But, man, it's a shame. It's sad. It's just going to feel different. And it's weird because game one is in Brazil. How many times do I have to say it? Why can't I just say Brazil? Why do I always have to say Brazil every time I say Brazil? Kelce or Iverson? Kelce. Not just because I'm in the moment. Because Allen Iverson, if you put Jason Kelce's work ethic with Allen Iverson's natural born ability, you're probably the greatest basketball player of all time. But Allen Iverson, while he wore his emotions on his sleeve, didn't have the work ethic that Kelce did. Again, I think that's why we connect to Kelce so much. It's because he wasn't the best. He made himself into one of the best. Hard work, effort, every day. That's what I do. I'm not the best content creator. I know that. I know I don't have the best morning. Well, I think I have the best morning show, but that's probably not. But you know what? I work hard at it. I study. I watch film. I do. I can't work out to get better at this show, but I do things on a daily basis to be better. That's what Jason Kelce is. Allen Iverson, I always say if Allen Iverson worked out one time, not one time a year, like one time period in his life, he would have been the best basketball player of all time. But the guy just never put the effort in off the court. Now, once the buzzer sounds and the ball gets tipped up to start a game, yeah, Allen Iverson had that heart. but he didn't have the Jason Kelce heart. And that's why I still put Kelce above Bryce Harper as well right now. Because Bryce Harper was born a natural athlete. He was born to be the best. Kelce wasn't. Just think about it. Someone said earlier, 6th round pick, Jason Kelce. We drafted Danny Watkins in the 1st round and Kelce in the 6th round. Kelce was not great at the beginning of his career. And he said it yesterday in his speech. I wouldn't have been shocked if they cut or traded me after the 2015 season or whatever it was. Because he was terrible, he said. He worked his tail off to become the best. And that's why Kelce will be above Iverson, above Bryce Harper, above a lot of people that have come through this great city. Brian Dawkins might be equal, but that's about it. I'm thinking about overachievers. Someone like the 93 Phillies team. But that was a different style. Maybe Darren Dalton worked damn hard to be a good catcher. We propped Darren Dalton up to this high level. He was a good catcher. But he worked hard. I don't know. It's tough. It's tough to put anybody on the Jason Kelce level because of the whole, when you see the whole story and think about the whole picture. This will look different next year, and we will hear his name more on Eagles broadcasting than we would Taylor on Chiefs broadcasting. But I'm happy we finally got the answer. Nothing more we could do but cheer the man on and pray the fan base doesn't start with the whole, please come out. Yeah. Like I said, I see your comment, Nitro. I'm going to get to it in a second. I'd hate to be the man filling in Kelce's shoes because every little aspect of every detail thing they do is going to be scrutinized massively. And there will be people that say, week 8, Kelce, we saved the season. No. We are not doing that. Nobody represents Philly more than Brian Dawkins. It's neck and neck to me, Nitro. And it's because of the work ethic. I mean, if you do a pros and cons or a checklist, who's got more heart, who's got more this, who's got more that, Kelce and Brian Dawkins are neck and neck in every category. But Brian Dawkins was supposed to be great. Jason Kelce was not great. Jason Kelce had to work harder than anybody else I can remember to be great. If he would have just been who he was and just worked out an average amount, he would not be a Hall of Famer. That's just the mentality I'm taking on it today. Thor with the hammer plus prime Kurt Russell. What is it? Thou shalt wield the hammer if you're worthy. Jason Kelce would have no problem picking up the hammer. No doubt in my mind. You know, about halfway through the season, because every Philly sports station will play "Baby Come Back." I can't remember the rest of the word. I can't remember the words of the song. I was going to sing the song. I know what song you're talking about. Yeah, I'm sure I'll do something clickbait. Kelce to save the season. I won't. But I would hate. It's funny because Nitro mentions Brian Dawkins, and then he puts Brian Dawkins ahead of Kelce, and that's fine. It's a very subjective, thing there. We followed up Brian Dawkins with Malcolm Jenkins, which worked out pretty well. Are we going to? Are we going to? Is Cam Jurgens going to be the next Malcolm Jenkins? I don't know. No, I like him, but the spirit of Philly put into physical form is Brian Dawkins. I think everything you think about Brian Dawkins is pretty much online with Jason Kelce as well. Brian Dawkins and Jason Kelce, very different, but very similar. Different ways of showing their emotion, different ways of performing, but also Brian Dawkins was supremely talented and gifted. There's nobody ever saying, well, he's okay. Maybe if he works hard, he can get better. B-Dawk is different. They have a similar heart, but B-Dawk is Philly's killer instinct. Yeah, I like this way. This is a good way. I'm struggling to put into words to not disagree with Nitro, but also remind him that Kelce's right there. D-Dawk is the killer instinct. Kelce is our emotion and focus. But they both did the work to be great. It's almost why when I say that Kelce's on my Mount Rushmore, I'd almost want to put two Eagles in Kelce and Dawkins on my all-time Philadelphia sports Mount Rushmore. Because they both represented us perfectly. I don't think the average football fan understands how important the center position is. Absolutely agree. We should probably temper expectations for next season. We will be a completely different team. Cox will also be greatly missed if he calls it. Yeah. Brian Dawkins is Wolverine, plus T'Challa with the heart-shaped herb. Yeah. Well, while Brian Dawkins is Wolverine and T'Challa, Jason Kelce is Thor. So then you could say Kelce and Dawkins is Philadelphia. So yin and yang. Yeah. Yeah, look, we're not trying to talk down on Brian Dawkins. And maybe 3 weeks from now, 3 months from now, 3 years from now, we'll say differently. We'll put it in a better, less emotionally invested perspective. But right now, the day after Jason Kelce retired and gave a heartfelt speech like none other, I put Kelce a smidge, this much, above Brian Dawkins. And again, that could be some of that instant overreaction and emotional investment that I feel today. But that's that. It's about time to start the wrap-up process here, guys. Again, this show is more of a thank you. Less of a show, more of a thank you. Tomorrow we'll get into Cam Jurgens or who, Fletcher Cox, Brandon Graham, Russell Wilson, Zach Wheeler, Blake Snell. All things I wrote down in my notebook for this week to get started. It is hard for me to compare. Just imagine if Dawkins played in today's media and social media focused world, not to mention how much the game of football has changed. It is very hard to compare the two. It is. It could be. It's definitely some recency bias. 100%. Of course it is. Kelce also was on the Super Bowl and gave a legendary Super Bowl parade speech, too. Don't forget that as well. That plays a factor as well. But there's lots to dive into this week. Lots to discuss. Sixers on a 2-game winning streak, maybe 3-game after tonight. We'll have Justin Crosby on tomorrow for our Sixers with Crosby. Got lots to talk about this week. Lots going on. The conversation never stops. It continually goes on. But make sure you hit that like, share, subscribe, retweet, follow button wherever you're watching. We're live every day at 8 a.m. here for 90 minutes, except for when somebody orders 480 pizza. Even tomorrow. I got a catering order tomorrow. Don't worry. We'll be here tomorrow. Don't worry. And we'll make sure we're here. But everybody have a great Tuesday. Is it Tuesday? It is Tuesday. Everybody have a great Tuesday. It's rainy, but it is what it is. We're into March. Lots happening. Guys, I'm not even going to say my typical go Birds as my sign off. It's just very simple. Thank you, Jason Kelce.